The Hoodwink, though, John. I mean, we've seen it before. It's very fun to watch in pro matches, though, because there's not a real established way of playing this hero quite yet. Throughout the world, even nobody really knows how to maximize this hero. So it's always interesting to see the Hoodwink come out and see what other teams and other players are going to do with it. Wind and Rain, of course, picking it up this time around. Do you like this hero, John? Do you think it's a strong pickup?
I think in the red lineup, it can be really darn nice. In this case, you've already got some pretty good aggression coming out with Grimstroke and the Centaur. Now with a Hoodwink on top, can definitely run down very early on. The Hoodwink gives you a great break as well to stop the axe from spinning. So you basically take away his call combo. If he does jump in, doesn't move, Hoodwink gets the shot off, and it feels nice. Felt, you go into Dusa, so they've got this really solid combo for themselves to play with. You get the call with your axe, and then you get the Stone Gaze off. You're going to get the Stone Form on a lot of heroes. Felt, though, don't have the Centaur on their side. They don't have the Stampede to save that Medusa. You don't really have the best saving cores as well. Snapfire, once you get the Ags, can sort of bail out the Medusa to a certain extent. But you will have to watch just how far forward that Medusa is. It's still potent. Now, the key thing is, if it can meet that Ags and Ag Shard timing to really be a menace that just is very hard to control. In this case, Wind and Rain, with a Gyrocopter on hand, they could still go for a Gyrocopter Diffusal build if they are worried about the Medusa's mana. That could still be one way to kind of handle that. So it's not too bad for the Gyro. You've got earlier timings to meet. You've got better damage in lane that you can leverage into the mid game, whereas Deuce is more stuck into farming. We'll have to see in Wind and Rain uses that to their advantage and starts forcing some stuff earlier on.
Well, Felt, we'll have the last ban out here, or rather second last ban out. 18 seconds left to make it, though. It's getting rid of those mid picks for Wind and Rain. Already getting rid of the Invoker. And there's your Wind Ranger also being removed now, so just not wanting either of those two around for the Radiant side. Wind and Rain, they're also kind of just banning out mid laners at the moment. Quap being removed. One more and we can see the drafts complete. Now, I was going to say, I mean, Felt with that Medusa, they do scare me a bit here. Like, Wind and Rain, I don't know if they have enough to deal with it this game. It doesn't feel like it. That's for sure. Like, you've got a lot of lockdown, but still looking a bit rough in terms of kind of taking this this hero out. Not to mention you've got the other ones to worry about as well. It's never fun trying to focus on Medusa when you've got Snapfire Kisses flying in, the Paralyzing Cask, and the potential for a Blink Call always being there. Can make it very tough. I'm wondering what mid laner they could even go for here to kind of turn this draft around a little bit for themselves. So it does feel like with this Medusa pick, they may have been outdrafted. Then again, you could argue they could just play way faster than the side of Felt and maybe just outpace them throughout this game one. Never let the Medusa really come online, but that has proven to be difficult throughout multiple series we have watched with the Medusa.
Yeah, it's really just down to you to play with your strengths here. Like Wind and Rain have stronger early presence, like the Axe needs to farm. Felt, they do go into the Kunkka to protect that Medusa pick. They're tying in their team fight a bit. They've got the boat run buff to sustain the Medusa just a little bit longer in these fights. They've got the X to hold back anyone during Stampede. It's one way to prevent that from really saving anyone. And it should work out decently in lane. The one team we really see pick up the Kunkka in Southeast Asia is like Army Geniuses, and we see them really run it well from mid lane. So we'll see if Felt can kind of replicate that with Yellow Flash more than likely playing the Kunkka here. Again, he has been playing fantastically for Felt, especially in the last series we saw him in, come in as a sub. But Wind and Rain, they do see the mid matchup. They should be expecting the Kunkka. They should be able to find a fairly decent enough time there. Like, Kunkka's always going to find some farm with a Tidebringer. Very hard to just completely shut them out. I think they'd want just some more burst damage, I think is the best bet here. Have some more mid here that can help you play early to catch Dusa out. They go with a Razor, which is fair enough. Like, you can static link out the Dusa. There's still no way of getting the Dusa out of trouble that quick, because again, you don't have that Centaur War Runner on your end. Very important for Wind and Rain to play fast, though. Like, they've got a Razor looking like it's going to be mid to lane against Kunkka, which is also nice for the static link on melee hero, building up from there. But even with the Gyrocopter, you don't want to take this late against Dusa. Dusa is just much scarier going into the late game, has that mana shield. The Ag Shard and Aghanims is still very scary to play against. So Wind Rain will have to really play fast and strong here to shut that one out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was the best pick Wind and Rain probably could have made there as the Razor. Because it does deal with the Kunkka plus the Medusa in some way, but I do agree you still have to play very quick if you're Wind and Rain. Don't allow Felt to get to that stage where they have the Aghanims and the Aghanim Shard up on the Medusa so she can just start being completely broken. Because once you do get to that point, it feels like you're going to have no way of dealing with her. But until that point, we'll see if Wind and Rain can make this game one work in their favor. Of course, you brought up the mid Kunkka as well, and we saw Yellow Flash the other day just putting on a real performance. I still remember his kill scores being 17 and 18 in both Game 1 and 2, so a very impressive performance last time around from Yellow Flash. We'll see if he can kind of replicate that performance here up against Felt, as we do get into game number 1. John, I never really asked you the hard question, but who came out with the better draft?
I'd lean towards Felt. I think this is a pretty decent Medusa game, even without the Centaur to save you, just because the Axe Medusa is fairly strong as well. And you can see Koya Niskatsi is just also out of control today as well.
Yep.
So we saw what happened when Felt had him unleashed, so to speak, and I still don't know what the guy is on. I don't know what exactly he's saying. I can't decipher it. It's in English. I don't understand it.
Nobody really gets Koya Niskatsi, John. He's his own man. You know, you've just got to kind of roll with it.
Yeah, but I'd say Felt definitely have the combinations on hand. They will have to ride through a bit of an early rough point where it will feel like the Gyrocopter's got a lot more power on hand. Early presence with Rocket Barrage, early damage coming through with a call down can be really annoying. And it might be a bit hard to catch more than one hero when Stampede is up, because you'll only really have the X mark to save you, or to at least catch one out for now. So Wind and Rain, they've just got to play real quick to punish, but that, again, is easier said than done. Although they could really win out. Like, if this Razor pops off early, we have seen quick travels plus Falcon Blade really allowed a Razor to be all over the map, and that could be important for Wind and Rain in terms of starting to build up that aggression for themselves.
I don't know what he's saying, John. I feel like it's the new Canis Vulpus. He's just putting in these weird rap lyrics that nobody understands. I'm not even sure if it's rap. They're just very weird words.
Yeah. He is a strange guy, but this mid lane is not so strange. Razor versus the Kunkka. We talked about it. Melee hero up against Razor. Always fun for, I guess, kits to kind of take control there. Yellow Flash has to be a bit cautious, can still play around with Tidebringer, but he doesn't have, well, he's got to risk himself every time he goes for it. As long as Static Link is up, Kits is going to be able to sort of win out in that trade and just kind of sap more damage. Should be rather even until you hit the level 3 marks, though, so it should just hold steady for both sides until then.
Absolutely. Of course, down at the bot lane, you've got Zor there along with Justice against Y and Cassius C. It's a pretty hard lane for the Grimstroke, let me tell you, John. Battle Hunger plus that little Shredder is going to make it extremely annoying for Y to stick around, and he'll probably have to burn through a lot of regen. And I could almost say the same thing about Cassius C. As the levels go up on the side of Feld, it can get a little bit dangerous here for the Gyrocopter. As long as they keep their distance, though, he should be alright. You see how Zor wants to kind of deal with this Gyrocopter lane? Generally speaking, you aren't usually allowed to get in range to get the call off, so you might see Zor. He may opt to decide to go for a level 2 Battle Hunger over the call at level 1. That is certainly a possibility to try and maximize just aiming the Grimstroke rather than hoping to call the Gyro anytime this laning stage. But apart from that, there's not really much else you can do. You're kind of just stuck farming.
No, it's definitely a bit more passive, at least initially for Felt. I think as the levels go up, Wind and Rain could maybe look to start playing aggressive. Once Rocket Barrage is up at level 2, they could try to walk up, get some damage off. The big issue is that they lost both of their couriers here from Y and Cassia C. They can't really get their items topped up. They can't get their small laning spikes with, say, early Wraith Bands coming through. And that's just from Justice having that really good position. So you've got to watch your micro on the couriers. Justice is punishing quite nicely. And for the most part here, you are kind of keeping up with the gyrocopter and farm, and they can't really use the homing missile as well. Every single time it's popped, Little Shredder just turns on, and you'll never see that stun go off.
Yeah, it is quite a nice little feature there with the Snapfire. Just being able to delete the homing missile every single time. Should make the lane much more comfortable, as that's a nice pull away there from Justice. Making sure they cannot get the pull off. Of course, we'll have a look up the top lane as well. John Tay and Koyona Skunty going to be there up against Sword and Sabo. For now, ooh, that's a nice little stun out. The Bushwhack is what I was meant to say, John. Always forget the names of these skills because they're not Australian words. I've never heard of Bushwhack before.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Maybe it's more of a New Zealand thing, Mike. I don't know.
I
Maybe,
doubt it, John.
Right? Like you... Yeah, I mean, you did say the voice actor's like New Zealandish, so perhaps. Still, Tay having a pretty swell time here, just doing slightly better than Cassius. Not too much of a difference yet from our chorus in terms of farm. The offlaners on both ends are definitely having a better time. Swords up at 18-7, taking control of the wave. You're seeing the pressure coming in from Sabo every single time. If you can get the Bushwhack and Acorn Shot combo, can be pretty scary if you're felt to clump up. If you get the follow-up Hoof Stomp, we're not even seeing Sword commit, although he does get 2 levels in Double Edge now.
Oh, and there's that kill we talked about earlier, John. Bot lane Y does end up dropping to Justice. It's like it was a cookie little shredder combination there from Justice, but it's like I said, the battle hunger is going to make it very hard for Y in this lane, and when you have a Snapfire around with little shredder, he's just going to be able to get so much harass off. There's just not much you can do as a Grimstroke here.
Yeah, it's really slow lane. We're seeing mid. Kits did get a really long static link, and that's something, again, Kunkka does not deal with well. If you miss your torrent, Razor can just kind of dance around you, so Kit's already having a pretty great time here, pulling ahead in the CS. Yellow Flash, it's going to have to be a bit more cautious, maybe start stacking up that small camp, get some recovery CS down the line, as it's not the best of starts for Kunkka. And this should mean Kits hits a pretty good timing with Travels and Falcon Blade coming up, and that's when you really start seeing the Razor run around the map and just be unstoppable.
Top. They do get the stun off on Tay. Sabo not opting to throw out the Bushwhack. Just going to back off. So they understand they can't really get rid of the Medusa yet. I say that, there's a Bushwhack out. Double Edge is there. Sword, he has no Hoof Stomp. So they can't really follow up on that. In fact, Sword's the one that's going to take a lot of damage out of this. That's one thing you've always got to keep in mind as well, is they always have the turn potential with the Melodic. You might just end up taking more damage than you deal.
You've just got to sort of watch how far you commit. They will keep trying, though.
Well, she hasn't got the mana shield up. Tay will get it up now, but it looks like he wanted to save the mana there. It costs him a lot of HP for that, though. Luckily, Koyona Skunty does have a salve on him. So Tay's still going to be fine at full HP, but definitely going to be a little bit cautious about not turning on that mana shield.
Yeah, just gotta respect that burst potential as well coming through from Wind and Rain, and the control coming out. So far, I mean, we've seen some close skirmishes, but it is still at 0-1, going the way of Felt, less than 1k lead on their end as well. It's just really down to how the drafts are. Like, you do have level 6 up on mids, but you can see every single time Kit goes for the static link. Fortunate for Yellow Flash to with a haste.
I set up, Torrent, boat, all gonna land. Koyona Skunty does come in with the cast count. He does not have mana for the Melodic, but he may not need it as Yellow Flash. With the haste, he's gonna be able to get the kill, and now he's onto Sabo. Nice Tidebringer hit. Yellow Flash, he'd love to land a Torrent now, but a nice juke spot there from Sabo. Torrent was actually going to be on target. But Sabo does manage to get himself out through the tree line. Still definitely not great news if you are Wind and Rain losing your Razor up against the Kunkka like that. Definitely not what you want to see.
Yeah, it's just a really nice power rune coming out for Yellow Flash. The static link was committed early by Kits, not seeing that bottled up haste. And if you don't get your static link off, well, that's when the Razor kind of feels awkward as well in that lane. So just timely rune control coming out from Yellow Flash. They've got the double wards now from Wind and Rain to watch those power runes, but it does feel like at this point they're just gonna be able to run around now. You've got the levels on Yellow Flash. He's level 7 now, max level Tidebringer. Saw that first boat really have impact. Could start looking towards the side lanes to get some good aggression out, but Wind and Rain do smoke out with Kits, so they're the ones to look to make a move from mid.
I think this is quite important, right? You've got to at least try and get the Medusa once throughout this laning stage, and they're going to try now. With Sword tanking the creep wave, they can just go for a dive past the tier 1 tower, but they've got to know Tay's in the tree line. Sword's going to go have a look now. Stampede pop, they're going to try. Tay's still juking them out, but there's your plasma field being popped. Kids now gets the link off. Tay's still alright, but there's your bushwhack now. They'll try with the boat, but she will still go down. They will at least be able to trade 1 for 1. It's certainly not going to feel that worthwhile for the side of Felt, as they do lose their most valuable core.
Yeah, but I think in terms of a network trade, that does feel slightly better for Felt. Like, there's a lot more gold coming in. The Razor was actually worth more than the Medusa anyway, so you actually find a higher priority core to kill off. That's a lot of gold. And EXP coming out from Yellow Flash. And they can't really transition that kill intenting from the side of Wind and Rain. Like, the lane's not really shoved out. They can't go for a tower push. So Felt are fairly protected from that move. And now the supports can just focus on getting some stacks up for the Medusa. So the recovery farm is going to come out for Tay anyway. I don't think you mind that too much. Like, you force the concentration up top. You've got the solo lane for Zord to handle down bot with Cassia C, and the Axe is still having a great time there as well. You're not really seeing the commitment from Jar, although Yellow Flash is still playing forward here.
He is. He's quite a tanky man, though. Mind you, he doesn't have the boat up right now, so I suppose he does have to be somewhat careful, but Kiana Scott's going to show up. They'll go for an X-Torrent. It will land. There's your Maledict out with the Tidebringer hit. Yellow. He's thinking about going in, but now Wise showing up, and a great bushwhack in from Sabo. Does catch both of them. Yellow Flash is going to get stunned up to the Inkswell and eventually should just die. He's going to try and run in the Stroke of Fate. Does not connect. In fact, he'll turn around now. With the boat out, he will at least take Sword with him. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. Down a bot lane, Zor. Able to kill off Cassia C. You know what? It was looking real good there for Wind and Rain, John, but they lose the Gyro, they lose the Centaur, and suddenly it doesn't look quite as good.
Yeah, I think Felt are still fairly happy, and they're able to transition their own kills into a push. So the bot lane's kind of shoved in. They're already at the tower. It's not the quickest progress with Axe and Snap. The objective will still fall. Top lane, they've got to wait a bit for the creep wave to catch up. There might be enough time for Felt to jump into defend. More than likely, they just give that off. They could start eyeing mid. They could just keep stalling out for farm from the Medusa. Tay has been given a lot of space in the jungle to clear out some of those smaller stacks. And after that one laning that, he has been free to just farm up. And I think that's what we need to see from Wind and Rain as well. Like, if they're not going to be aggressive with a Stryrocopter, they need to give Cassius some space to farm. He is playing in that triangle area. So it's about that time where he just sits back, built into that Maelstrom after Falcon Blade. He is showing down mid though, but Felt are making move there.
That they are. Yellow Flash, he'd love to get an X off. He's also got a haste rune up in that bottle. But I've got to say, John, I do like the fact that Yellow Flash has opted to itemize with an Orchid on this Conquer, just allowing him to be so much more aggressive. Early on as Cassius C, Kids, they're going to move in, trying to go after Zor, but he has help around. They'll get rid of the homing missile again. And I don't think Cassius C's been able to land one of those homing missiles this game. So we have had Justice just all over it. Still, now you've got the blink coming out on your Centaur. So at least you have that big initiation on this Cent, and now they might be able to go for a big 5-man, 4-man smoke and just try to hunt down Felt, and they will. It's only going to be a 3-man, but I suppose White could just follow as Koyaanisqatsi now. He's going to show up. X is out. The Grimstroke just going to bait as the silence is in. Boat does not connect, and now the Soulbind will lock them down. They will get Koyaanisqatsi. Yellow Flash, though, with the haste rune, is going to be able to run away. Nice little arrow there onto the axe, but it won't really matter. If they do get one, it's only going to be the pos 5 of the side of Felt. And that was your smoke blink reveal.
Yep, you don't mind that at all if you felt to get the better position. They kind of get the bait out as well, where the sentry they're forced to kind of have to get vision cliff to deward that. And it's not the best of situations for Wind and Rain. I think Felt, they've still got that network lead. They're still buying out space for the Dusa. That's where your smoke really wanted to go out. The blink is now up for your axe to kind of match that centaur blink reveal now as well. So you've got the blink call combo coming through from Zor. If you're not careful, this is around the time where Felt's 4 heroes can start to run around and be aggressive now. Instead of just protecting the Dusa, they can actually make some more space on the map by forcing some aggression out.
Smoke up. Zor with his own blink now. Want to try and go for his own reveal. That Radiant Triangle they go, and this is really clever because they're going to just run right into Kits, and it's going to be a nice target, but no, they found Y instead, but Zor still blinks in on the Razor with the Snapfire Kisses. It might be enough, but no, Kits, he's just running away, now turning with the Inkswell and the Bushwhack out. They've got the control into Zor. He is somehow still alive, but eventually will die. Death Ward out now from Quionaskatsi. Not going to be enough to kill anyone. Everyone gets out from the side of Wind and Rain, and for Felt, they are going to lose their axe. At least they get a mid-tier 1 tower for their trouble.
Yeah, it's also not the best blink reveal for Felt. Looks like both teams are just kind of struggling to get these items out in the big way. Big issue is that they kind of split their targets up. We saw some target priority on the Grimstroke and some of that being split off on Razor. They didn't get the kisses on one hero, so they couldn't burst anyone down. And it's that same issue with Stampede. Like, your supports just don't hold these heroes down long enough and fast enough. Your best hold is really Blink Call and one hero control with EX. So it's just not enough when Stampede is up. And because of that lower cooldown on Stampede, it's almost always going to be up in every single engagement. So Felt have to really be cautious about that. They need to be able to get bigger calls, or at least focus on one target at a time. They are going to go for those kinds of gank attempts there.
How smart is this, John? You have a look back at Yellow Flash, going for the Aghanim Scepter upgrade. So he's going to be a real kind of nuisance in the middle of these team fights, just pure utility style Kunkka. And the Aghanim Scepter should pay quite some dividends. You've got a Medusa as well, so just being able to buy the time in that Torrent Storm for her to just kind of hit away, is now they found out the Centaur. Death Ward's out, Boat does fly in with the Maledict. That'll be more than enough to kill off Sword. Meanwhile, topside, they do find Zor. So both position 3s going down again from both ends. You can kind of just argue, if you like, which one was more valuable, John, but it does feel like they're both around the same mark.
Yeah, it's relatively even. You don't mind either way. I think it hurts a little bit more to lose your axe just because he was worth a little bit more in terms of team net worth. So you definitely had slightly more value for Wind and Rain, and it was Kits finding that as well. So he's building in on a Razor. He did opt for the Hood of Defiance into what looks to be Sanj, maybe a disarm on hand from Kits. So it's not the usual Falcon Blade travels we see, the Speed Runner, Speed Racer, Razor. Not quite coming out here, but we're still seeing some big impact from Kits. And this should be one way to kind of hold down that Dusa. Once you get disarm on hand, if the Dusa can't right-click, well, she can't leverage her farm advantage. And it's not like Tay's completely farmed up yet. Still number 2 in net worth. Yellow Flash is still slightly ahead on that Kunkka. So there's still some time here until the Dusa is really ready to show itself. And that just means that Felt still have to keep playing as 3 or 4 heroes, buying that space out.
Sword has no idea what he's running into, but he knows he's dead. Boat, probably not necessary. Quionaskatsi with the Death Ward Maledict will have more than enough damage on the Witch Doctor. Now why? Not realizing he is right underneath vision right now. He's not going to be jumped yet, but he needs to be very cautious on the Grimstroke. In fact, to make matters worse, now Cassius sees here. Looks like they aren't going to get caught out, though. The side of Felt, they're just going to back off and keep their own farm up. Speaking of that farm as well, John, Tay going straight for the Ags is going to have it up probably within the next 5 minutes. That's going to be a pretty big point of concern. Like, with Wind and Rain in their draft, it doesn't feel like they've done anywhere near enough to slow down and hold back the draft of Felt.
No, they've played really slow paced, which is, again, a bit surprising. With a Gyrocopter, you can actually play a lot quicker. But they're just trying to match the Dusa farm with the Gyro farm, which never ends up well, simply because Dusa's Ags and Shard is just innately more busted. They are smoked up in the back line, though, looking to rotate behind that tier 1 mid, and Tay is showing up there.
So, call in the backside. They found the Gyrocopter. Meanwhile, though, Tay has also been caught out. He's out of mana. They'll get rid of the Gyro, and Sword is going down as well. The Medusa's still alive, but the Soulbind's there now to hold her down. She cannot run her way out. They will finally get Tay, but at what cost? Kits, he's dropping as well. Torrent's out. The Razor should be dead here and eventually might just go down, but not before he gets Koyonaskansi with him. They'll get him in the end. 4-for-3 trade. The only survivor for the side of Wind and Rain was Y. You'd still have to call that a win for Felchon. I mean, you got the Medusa, which is going to feel nice. She's still farming just fine, though, and we saw the Gyrocopter. He went down first out of everyone. So he got absolutely nothing out of that fight.
Yeah, it's just... It felt like Wind and Rain hesitated. They were in position behind that mid-tier 1. They did not immediately jump in. Felt got the call first. They were forced to respond. Their fight was split up and just doesn't end up well for the side of Wind and Rain.
Walk it out onto Sabo. It's not going to last long enough. Cookie is there. Sabo going to try and run. Scatterblast not going to be enough, and now we'll turn around. With the sharpshooter, he will aim down Yellow Flash. They are trying to go after the Snapfire instead, and they will be able to eventually just kill off Justice. They don't quite get the big Kunka kill, but they help Sabo survive, and they get a Snapfire kill for their trouble. So still pretty decent for Wind and Rain.
I'm just a bit greedy there from Felt, diving very far in by a tier 2. Not really finding that instant burst, not respecting, again, that bushwhack, having a lot of control near tree line. And now Wind and Rain, because of how scattered Felt are, we get some decent damage on that mid, but can't really fully commit. You can see that they get some chip damage off. When Tay shows up, it's a bit scary to go into the Dusa, especially since, you're always going to have Stone Gaze up. The Ags is almost done, just 1k off, and Felt are going to smoke up and look for a play once more.
They are, and they will run right into Y. Not quite the target they would have liked, but they'll take it. If they can. He has a Shadow Amulet. They will get him eventually. Again, I'm sure they wanted a lot more than that, though. I guess it's still going to buy more and more time for Tay, who again is getting very close now to that Aghanim Scepter. You kind of have a look back at Cassius C. He's just not really able to keep up on the Gyrocopter.
Yeah, it's really, it's really not the same pacing from Gyro. Every single time I hear that voice line now, it bothers me. I'm like, yeah, all right. All right.
No one's ever said it around me, John. I've never heard it.
You can start it. You can make it a trend. Might be the trendsetter for doing it to you. Everyone's gonna look at you weird. Still, I'm still not feeling great about what Wind and Rain's trying to do with the Gyro, man. Like, you have Rocket Barrage for early now at 21 minutes. You definitely need to start farming up because you did not play aggressive early on. They lose their tier 2 bot. Felt start to get that push out. The Ags is flying out now for Tay. So the question is, can you handle Dusa Ags at 21 minutes? It doesn't feel like they have the toolkit yet to handle it.
We'll find out soon because the TPs are coming up. They are smoked as well, so it's going to have a look around, but there's going to be a counter smoke now from Wind and Rain, but it seems like a very defensive counter unless Koyonaskansi does get caught out. They are still coming in from the backside, and well, there's your stone up into the call there from Zor. They caught out 2 nice targets. They will get 1, and they will get a second. Cassius C, the big one there to drop as Zor will just continue rushing forward, trying to find another. They do know Sword is around in the Centaur. Zor right behind him, and a nice torrent in from Yellow Flash. I'll just just lock him down now. There's not much place for Sword to go. Bushwhack, it's going to help a bit. But in the end, Sword will still drop. Kids now does come in with the static link out onto the Medusa, but is it going to be enough? Not quite. The kisses around Kids is going to drop. They'll get nothing. Maybe Sabo can snipe Zor here, but now he has no mana for the sharpshooter.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, just very clean from Fault. Big reveal. The combination with the freaking snake plus the call. If you manage to land it on 2 or 3, it's just so easy for an axe to follow up. Then you get the torrent off. You've also got the Ags up in Yellow Flash, so there's the annoying torrent storm flying around as well. And they might catch out a freebie here. Y'all is around here, and they've got the X ready to go. It looks like this might be a freebie.
It certainly seems that way, and it's a very unfortunate time for Wind and Rain unless they've spotted out the side of Felt. Not sure if Y has the vision right now, but I don't think he will be as Koyaanisqatsi gets going with the lyrics again. Hopefully the pause won't last too long. For both our sakes, Koyaanisqatsi. Just... There you go. Y? It's too late. They got the X off. Easy kill onto Y.
For nothing.
And this was always the concern with both drafts, right? Like for Felt, they knew they had to just get to the point where Tay had this Ags, and they'd kind of be unstoppable. And now they're at that point, and Wind and Rain, they just haven't been able to do enough to really slow them down and shut them down in this game. And of course, the game's not over yet. It's just become infinitely harder.
Yeah, it's you need a lot more in the Gyro to match up Medusa. They do manage to get a good deny in the tier 2 mid. So I guess that's nice, but
Cassius C ends up dropping on the Gyro. They still get a nice bushwhack there with the snap by, so maybe they can kill off Justice. But the cookie yard is going to be just enough with the Stone Gaze. And now the turnaround, Koyaanisqatsi literally going in by himself with the Death Ward. What a call out, Zor will lock him down within range. They'll get the Centaur kill. Zor will just chase in for more. He'd love to grab Kits, but they don't have the blink up yet. They won't have the opportunity. Instead, they'll try and go after Sabo, who has been stoned up. Torrent is there. Orchid is out as well. And even without the Torrent, he might still die. In fact, Zor going in for a call does not connect, but Y has still been locked down and probably will just die.
Has no time for all this
It's a real concern when your Axe and Kunkka are missing their spells, but you're still able to kill both those heroes.
oh yeah. It's just showing you how far behind Wind and Rain starting to fall here. 9k lead for Felt, 11 to 21. Felt starting to take over that triangle. Even the jungle down bot is not safe. Cassius E, his farming spots are very limited. And this just goes back to the Gyrocopter versus Medusa. Like, Gyro can scale late, but his big strength over Medusa is his early game presence. We just never saw Wind and Rain play around with that. So now they have to play the stall game. They have to try and get Cassius E to match up with the Medusa farm. They need to get some D wards going, especially down bot, if they want to have Cassius E build up. And they need to start watching the Roche pit. That's more than likely where Felt will start looking next. They need some good wards watching that area to ensure that they can contest. Because if you allow Felt to get a free Aegis, you're already struggling to kill off any of your heroes once. You're probably not going to be able to handle 2 lives over unless Felt really overextend in a very awkward position. So you just need to prevent that objective from coming out. Y will get that vision out for the team. So at least you're not going to get a free Roshan here for Felt. And you do manage to finish up the BKB on Cassius E. So there's more protection for the Gyrocopter. At the least, it's not going to be held completely down by, say, the Mystic Snake bouncing around. You will at least have one hero to last. True that. The issue is, I don't think the Gyro by itself is enough anyway, so you might need more items up before you can fight even with his BKB.
Big smoke up behind Tay. In his rune, just going to be sitting there. Sabo, he's going to rush for it, but he may get punished for this as He gets the invis. He does get X back, however, as well, and should just drop it. A nice stun out sword. He's going to try and turn that around. They'll still get the kill. And now the Death Ward out with Kionaskatsi's sword. He's going to try and run, but it looks like they are going to be able to keep up and get the call off. Meanwhile, Pitts in the backside does manage to kill off Kionaskatsi. But can he get out? They see him right underneath the ward. That'll be another death for the side of Wind and Rain. All they got for that was a Witch Doctor kill, and at the top of it all off, they are going to lose the Roshan. And well, because Kionaskatsi's dead now, we all get to enjoy his lyrics again. Meanwhile, mid lane, White does go down to Zor. So there's that happening. But John, are you able to translate what this man's saying?
I think it's skateboarding, right? It sounds like he's skateboarding, front side flips. Something about going on the handrails. He's probably a skater boy, you know, like a 90s kind of thing, which is pretty sweet.
The old Avril Lavigne, huh?
Yeah, Avril Lavigne days, Tony Hawk, pro skater, you know, all that good stuff. Good old days. Still, what else is good is that Felt get in Aegis for free, and they give it to Justice. They don't even hand it to Tate. It's on the Snapfire. I don't know if that's a misclick. It looked like they might have done it on purpose just to grief Tay. So, you know, confident. They're confident. Yeah, I mean, they've got this guy yelling about skateboarding and beating people up when he sees them in the neighborhood. I think that's fair enough.
You've got him started again, John. You've got him started again. Great song, by the way, Skater Boy. Old classic. I was very young when that came out. I was a Skater Boy once too, John. Wind and Rain.
I'd believe it.
They're going to have to try and fight here. The T2 top tower is slowly going to drop. They're going to smoke from the backside. Koyaanisqatsi, no, they'll go for Flash. They want the Cooker down, but he's going to survive. And now the stones are out with the Mystic Snake, the Torrent Storm, the boat. They'll throw at everything. Kits is gone. Koyaanisqatsi, he does drop, but what does he care? Cassius and Sword both dropping to boot, and now why? He's just going to try and run his way out. Bazoor has spotted him. Target locked and loaded, and there's your cookie out. Felt they are just going to go to the high ground, I think. They still have the Aegis up, though it is still on Justice. So I guess the Aegis doesn't really matter. They should be able to get at least a tier 3, but I'd say they probably could confidently just go for the rats.
There's nothing to stop them right now. There's just not enough farm on the Gyro to counteract this. They don't have enough durability in the Centaur. They don't have enough coming through from their Razor's Wall. The progression has just kind of stalled for Wind and Rain. And Felt can just do what they want. They take that set of racks. They can pull back and play safe. What's happening? Now they've got Tay going on all chat.
Oh, I have no idea.
Cyrillic.
They get stronger with the all chat, John. They move in again. Mortimer's kisses are there. The Razor trying to just sap the damage away from Tay, but he just does not care about it. Cassius C is going to try a mad fight with the BKB, but he's doing no damage. There is just no damage out from the side of Wind and Rain, as that'll be the first game of this series going to the side of Team Felt in quite dominant fashion. And then we have a bit of a pause out, apparently, for some reason.
I think it's the preemptive disconnects, just making the game think that, you know, we had disconnect. Still Felt win in strong form. And the thing is, Wind and Rain, in that draft, they went with Centaur first. They never got the Dusa, and they never banned the Dusa. Yep. So I'm just not sure what was the mindset there. Getting the Centaur, not grabbing the Dusa in the first phase, when every single team dreams of getting that combo. So Wind and Rain missed out on that. Felt sees the opportunity, get the Dusa themselves. They have a great old time building up. They had really nice lanes coming through as well, and Wind and Rain weren't playing the aggressive playstyle we expected. With a Gyrocopter and a Grimstroke, you could really run down the lane. Like, you could just try to find homing missiles. Just very well played from Justice standing back, playing with the little Shredder, but you still had some time going from the 10 to 15 minute mark to show up, take some team fights, play with call down, and Wind and Rain just opted for this farm game where Yeah, the gyrocopter can keep up, but the Dusa has much nicer power spikes with the Ags. It just doesn't match up.
That was certainly the case, and I mean, you've got to give it to him as well, right? Like, we talked about this last week, but Yellow Flash on that Kunkka, just, he makes it very easy for the side of Feld, it feels like, doesn't he? Just so impactful in that mid lane, and once again, he's had a great performance at 8-1 and 18 this game on the Kunkka. And you just saw that kind of utility Kunkka with the Torrent Storm, with the Orchid, just throwing the boat and Torrent Storm out. It just feels kind of impossible to fight into. Nevertheless, we are going to have Game 2 coming up in roughly 10 to 15 minutes. It is MLP Dota and JohnXFire, and we'll be back as soon as that Game 2 draft has begun.